September 2025 was quite a big month for cartoon pilots. With the release of Knights of Guinevere's was Homestuck, there were a lot of buzz and hype for these projects, especially on YouTube. However, one pilot released around the same time, but did not get as much fanfare. That would be the Loki IRL pilots created by YouTuber PanPizza, and it was actually released earlier in the month. Hello, I'm Dovin, this is my friend Samantha, and we're going to talk about the writing of the pilots, marketing, as well as the potential future. And I mentioned writing because I actually co-wrote the thing. All while waiting for Uber from this convenience store.
And I'm dressed like Frankie from that Guinevere thing. I hope it gets more episodes, or else his outfit won't make sense if you watch it 5 years from now.
Well, I'm dressed up as Jax for Halloween, and you know where he's from.
Has-Been Hotel.
Huh? What? No.
And I'm a computer.
Hey, Dovin, I gotta be real. I popped an edible a bit ago, and I think it's activating.
No, I see it too, but maybe if we just ignore it, the thing won't talk to us.
What are you guys talking about?
Loki IRL is a concept created by PanPizza, technically all the way back in 2005 when he first drew all the characters. It wouldn't be until 2014, however, where a more formal comic would be made.
Oh yeah, these floating around on Tumblr back in the day, back when people used the website. And Skype? I never thought I'd miss it until I got that Copilot cancer installed on me.
Computers can hate AI too?
Think of it like growing a third arm. Like, yeah, I could use it, but I really don't want it taking up resources while barely doing anything.
Don't derail the video to talk about AI. This video is about Pan's pilot.
Oh yeah, I forgot what the video was about already. I thought it was a short.
Anyway, while creating his cartoon reviews as well as attending college, the latter he graduated with a degree in graphic design by the way, he chipped away at drawing these characters as well as the comic. Though a big issue is that he never really read comics, so it wasn't a medium he was used to drawing in. In its lifespan, the comic would be rebooted 2 times, once in 2015 and once more in 2021.
Rebooting is best reserved for PCs.
I like this thing. Can I take it home?
I already have a computer, and that one doesn't talk. I think. While Pan was working on the comic, on October 1st, 2020, he did a practice pitch on Adult Swim livestream. 2 notable names in it be Gendy Tarnowski as well as Mike Lazo.
Oh, I love Gendy. He made that dogfucker movie.
And he made Primal too. But to make a long story short, the main issues they had was that Pan didn't really have too many episode ideas. And the characters lacked motivation, and he spent too much time talking about the world rather than protagonists and such. Now in 2021, it was around this time that I actually read the script for the Loki IRL pilot, specifically in September. And that's how I became the scriptwriter on the project. Essentially, I helped him trim down the script from 35 to 23 pages, cutting out scenes, characters, etc. to make the story flow better, while also saving a lot more money. And there were rules we made just for the pilot, such as this is not an origin story, canon can be changed, don't be afraid to trim, villains cannot fully be villains, and to focus more on dialogue. I should mention, and be specific, that these aren't rules I have for all writing, but just for this pilot specifically.
I was gonna write a very mean comment since I assumed you meant every project ever.
Statistically speaking, mean comments also help engagement. Like having a type in a title, people are more likely to comment.
Don't give Sam any ideas, computer. After rereading the original comics, I explained to Pan that this thing was confusing to normal people, and we really had to rework the lore. Things like how and when IRLs are discovered, and how they're regulated. I explained to Pan that if we treat IRLs, you know, the things that the characters control, like guns, I mean, they do cause physical damage in the real world, the government would want to know who has that shit. Also, with IRLs being more of a recent thing, they can deal with rights for these non-human characters, which can be explored in future episodes. On top of that, I wrote specifically how IRLs are created, as well as could be destroyed. Well, that would at least make more sense for the show.
I'll be the one to mention that Dovin can't really spoil or leak anything because nearly all of his work hasn't been public yet. So, if you're looking for drama stuff, this video wasn't for you. Sorry.
Yeah, in fact, my time writing on this project was between September to November 2021. And with the script essentially finished, I also wrote log lines for future episodes and marked the characters. A big thing to keep in mind with my involvements on the pilot is that it's not my show, and every decision at the end of the day goes through Pan. Everything that I wrote for a pitch ultimately would be his decision when it comes to writing or lore and final execution. When it comes to writing for another person's characters, I see it more of a privilege to be able to work on such things. Although these are not my characters, it is quite fun to work inside the confines of another one's world, to see how it works and where to take the story next.
Yeah, like in this world, there are talking furries and computers.
Yes, very normal things for this world.
Alright, computer, I think you're at best a Halloween cameo, if anything.
I have sentience now!
An important change it did to the Loki IRL story was aging up the main character Bianca from 14 to 18. Just graduating high school, she's at a crossroads and either getting a job or going to college. So in her pursuit to make a cartoon, it feels more immediate and a life-changing thing for her character. Finding that motivation and working with it's made it easier to trim down or rework the dialogue of the script. So if there's anything I can give you, the audience, by working on such a project, is that low world building could go a long way, as well as tweaking things about characters that would better suit the story. But as for the setting, you can visit the Loki IRL IRL website to learn more about the cities and such, which were written after my tenure on the project. It is cool to see the world flourish and be improved since I worked on the project. Equally as interesting, of course, was seeing the pilot release, as it released 4 years after I turned in my last script revision. This must be the feeling writers get seeing people watch something they wrote long ago and watching it now release, you know? And amazingly, a lot of people loved the pilot. 51,000 likes to 695 dislikes is quite the balance.
I had a nice time watching it, although I was a little confused on how the fights worked and what Loki's powers were.
Yeah, I feel like those should have been explained more.
Changing topics suddenly for no reason. Alright, there is a major thing that I think held back a little in regards to the actual release. And by that I mean, I don't think there was enough hyper marketing in the actual upload. Forgetting for a second, of course, the release of 2 major pilots after the fact, Guinevere as well as Homestuck, I think Loki IRL needed a little more time to cook before release. Not in the actual production. Okay, technically that, a lot of things. Alright.
This feels like when a movie went up against Star Wars at the box office. Like, slow down, spies in disguise. I want to see Luke first.
September 29th, so a short bit after Loki IRL's release date, an official Spanish dub will release on the same channel. I mentioned this as if you watched any episode of Digital Circus, you would know that they have multi-language tracks. I believe if Pan had waited until this was done, we could have seen a dual language upload for the video. This means that the video would be shared in 2 languages as one big video, adding to the overall view count and pushing it further in the algorithm. You can always add languages later on, but it has to be the same length, so I understand how it would be difficult in some places to rework dialogue to fit that tight number. As you can see, 3 extra seconds were added.
Let alone for so many languages. I know there's at least over 100 in my file system.
Another thing would be to delay the release and hype up the upload by advertising a specific date. And honestly, the following month of October would just been fine to properly hype it up. Putting an ad in the banners on social media, making community posts and tweets, of course, as well as talking about in videos. If people know the thing is releasing at a specific day and time, there's a better chance of getting more views in that time frame. Along with that, any YouTuber or internet personality friend that you know could always help by retweeting or commenting, as that would also go a long way. If people's favorite personalities are talking about it, then the animation is pushed even more in the algorithm. Alright, there was a trailer on the channel, however that would only be like 1 day before actual release.
You're forgetting how well the pilot did on its own. 422,000 and 112,000 respectively are very good for a pilot. In fact, it was because of his pilot that he finally reached past over 500,000 subscribers.
Yeah, that's quite true. But one big issue when it comes to creating content online is getting the people to know about it, or better yet, talk about it. When it comes to making things online, people must talk about it in order for it to spread around, and to find its hardcore and dedicated audience. The trouble with Loki IRL is that there are barely any videos talking about the show. The most viewed that I saw directly talking about it would be a second channel video by Saberspark that was actually just a highlight live stream reel.
Imagine watching a pilot like that for the first time, like watching a recap film about a horror movie before actually watching the thing, like I do. All the time.
For frame reference, when Homestuck was Guinevere released, there are a nice handful of videos talking about it, and it is essentially a self-sustaining cycle. If the new thing is popular, then it gets other people to make videos about it, which will get them views, which makes the original thing popular again, which causes more people to make videos about the thing. That, or if something bad happens behind the scenes, and then people talk about the pilot in that way too, which thank you everyone who watched my video over Wastelandia, you should go watch that pilot too. Luckily, for the latter parts, there was no bad thing in the pilot's production, at least that I know of, but this still leaves us an empty gap of videos talking about Loki IRL. Of course, no one is required to talk about any pilot, and it is completely understandable for a channel to go where the views are at. In fact, as a frame of reference, the channel Cartoon Universe made 2 videos going over another indie series, Monkey Wrench. The videos would not get as many views as more recognizable IP videos would, but it still stands to prove my point.
You're forgetting a major fact that Monkey Wrench has multiple episodes under its belt and has been in the works for a while. Often, it takes time for people to talk about something and find its own audience.
Huh? What do you mean?
Think of it like this. There are tons of indie pilots online, but there aren't as many that have multiple episodes. So if something has multiple episodes already, it could be an easier way to get people interested, which is a bit counterintuitive, honestly.
I'm not convinced. Perhaps you have one more example?
Why, yes I do. On the opposite end, we have Bridge Kids, a show that started off with very little views, but as the creator spent time making more episodes, one blew up in the algorithm, and those fans trickled down to past and present uploads, turning it from an underrated gem to a series in its own right. Now, Bridge Kids has a lot of people reacting to the show. Sometimes all the marketing the show needs is just existing on its own for a bit.
On top of that, another way to get people to talk about it is putting a famous voice in it, like Michael Kovac. Throw him in something and people are sure as hell gonna talk about it.
Actually, yeah, come to think of it, this goes into how indie pilots aren't often one and done, and Loki IRL is no different than any of these other animations. With the views it has right now and the dedicated fan base on other platforms, I think the show is at the start of its journey online. And I do mean online. online, as for a project this personal, I honestly don't think pitching it would be best suited for the characters. To be the true auteur, I think Pan needs to be the one in full control of the story.
And perhaps when episode 2 releases, we will see more videos discussing the show as a whole.
You're right, computer. Sometimes it is better for a show to have a slow burn and become something more. To briefly circle back on the other platforms part, when Cartoon Base made a tweet about your favorite indie animation in September, they only mentioned 3 pilots. I saw quite a few comments asking about the new Space King episode and Loki IRL pilot. It wasn't until a lot of quote tweets and a funny post by Pan did they finally add it. Pan's tweet, "Bullying works," would receive 32,000 likes respectively.
If I learned anything from the internet, it's that bullying works.
That is literally never the case ever, and the point of most of these extra Dovin videos for some reason.
One more tweet actually from Cartoon Base would highlight even more animated episodes are released in that month. And when you step back a little bit, you start to see that indie animation isn't always just VisiPop and Glitch Productions. And we should appreciate how many things there even are to talk about. To ramp up a little bit, I want to take time in this video to talk about another side of making a cartoon. That would be promotion, marketing, and even long-term effects of creating a thing online. That although I gave advice on how I would have done X, Y, or Z, it won't guarantee views. On top of that, the algorithm is a fickle thing. Sometimes it shines bright in your favor, and other times it leaves you in the dust.
Case in point, when I talked about how some shows would only later get popular.
Though I still believe one of the hardest things in indie animation is not making the first episode, but rather the second.
And we look forward to whenever that comes out.
In the meantime, I have other projects to work on than the thing you're watching right now. Do you like it? You should like, subscribe to tell me if you like it, please. Oh, I did get some questions about my writing on Loki IRL, so I'm gonna go over those right now.
When the pilot was written, were there many rewrites or changes? I really enjoyed the plot, by the way.
The pilot had about 7 or so major rewrites. My job was mainly to punch up dialogue, cut out scenes, and rework the lore. I wanted to try to avoid making the pilot feel too bloated, as although I wrote a lot in terms of lore, that was mainly to make it easier to write for the characters and the world itself. If you want to see the first draft of the script, I go as Pan. I think it would be fun if you did a voiceover of the actors of the original script, so people can see what changed.
I've been really looking forward to the pilot ever since your Rebeltaxi video. How many drafts did you go through?
It's the same question, but I'll go a little bit more into it. When writing on this project, and even other projects for that matter, the dialogue has to advance the story. It's a silly thing to clarify, but stick with me. There's one scene I took out that would have required a new character, new voice actor, and even an entirely new location. I reworked the dialogue just to give it to Bianca and Loki, rather than Loki and this new character, in order to make it flow better and save a lot of money in the process. When it comes to writing scenes like that, just because it's not in the script doesn't mean you can't use it elsewhere or the thought was wasted. For all the lore and characters in the prior comics, they will probably come back in some shape or form. But when it comes to writing a story, it is best to kill your darlings sometimes and resurrect them when the time comes.
Based. I've just been curious on who would be writing for the next episodes mostly, because I'm imagining you'd be doing other projects, right?
I am not on any other scripts for the Loki IRL project, unless you know something I don't.
Do you voice act any character in the pilot?
I do not. I probably should have asked to do voice. No, that could have been fun.
Oh wow, that was it? Not really much fanfare at all, you're right.
Yeah, anyway, I want to take time for the last video in October and talk about Loki IRL and just pilots in general.
It probably would have made more sense to talk about it in September, since you made a big deal about people making videos about it.
Better late than never, I suppose. I know this video won't get a lot of views because the subject matter is previously talked about, but I had fun talking a little bit about the writing process was a potential future for the show. I think if anything you should take from this video is that you should just go ahead and do your thing. Sometimes you need someone else to help you punch up the work, and sometimes you can just get started on your own. Last thing I would want to do is discourage anyone from creating. Even though I talked about numbers and views, that is only part of the job, not the full thing. Don't let views dictate your creativity, and think of it from another angle. Back in 2005, Pan first created these characters, and 20 years later, he finally has a pilot with them. Perhaps one day, y'all can do the same.
But don't wait 20 years. Just go do the thing now.
And maybe worry about the views a little bit because of bills.
But anyway, take care, keep on drawing, have a wonderful October, or whenever you're watching this in the future, I guess.
This counts as the Halloween special, by the way. Happy Halloween!
Alright, let's smash this thing!
What?
Hey Dovin, I just popped an edible. This isn't even canon to like Samantha, this is just me. To join the animatronic family, we open real soon. Try your best to hold on to sanity, come get to know me. And you won't want to leave after tonight, down here we're lonely. And we would love you to join us for a bite.